Hello, hello, and welcome to the PvA Nightly Rundown. Episode 10. We've hit the double digits already, boys and girls. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Monday evening. I know I am. It's been a weird weekend. My wife's out of town, and I'm starting to reach the point of boredom. I've just been cooking food, watching television, pretty much doing absolutely nothing. So tonight we're drinking some orange buble, one of my favorite flavors. I went and bought some more buble. But yeah, this is the PvA Nightly Rundown. We get together each weeknight over here on twitch.tv/PvA Radio, 9 o'clock Eastern time, and we bring all the gaming news that you may have missed throughout the day so that you don't look like an idiot at the water cooler tomorrow. So yeah, we'll get into all that here in just a moment. Everything's a little scuffed tonight. For some reason, I needed to reset OBS before I went live and did not realize that my chat would not update out of the person that I rated yesterday after my stream. And so, yeah, my chat wasn't updating, but we're good now. The chat is updated, but now my video keeps buffering over here on this side. It's okay, guys. It's all right. We're going to get it all together eventually. Hope everybody is doing fantastically, though. I'm going to take a nice, delicious sip of this. Also, if you weren't here for the weekend because you're just used to coming by on the weeknights, I do have a new look. This is the new PvA overlays. We're getting rid of the green screen. My wife's going to help me when she gets back in town. She's going to help me decorate behind me so that it's not just this green screen. But for now, you can, superimpose me on whatever you will. So, yo, Ryan, bro, welcome back. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well this evening. Yeah, AD got traded to the Lakers, which, no more Subway, Roy. No more Subway. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll get a little Subway sign to put up in the back. Just for the people who are OGs, to remember me by. But now we're getting rid of the green screen. But yeah, AD getting traded to the Lakers. We don't really talk NBA news on this show, but I don't mind opening with it. So X Square 380 Slabby Patty coming in with the hot guesses. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. But Slabby Patty also a big NBA fan, Ryan, bro. So yeah, AD getting traded to the Lakers is a pretty big deal, and there was a bunch of different people in that deal too. So let's pull that up real quick. Oh, I typed in Xbox. What am I doing, guys? Move my phone. So I know it was Lonzo Ball. I'm not going to spend too much time lingering over here, guys, if you're not into the NBA, but it was Lonzo Ball. Who else was in this trade? 4 first rounders, win now mode. Especially, yeah, it's crazy. The West is wide open now. Wide open. Yeah, with no KD, no Clay. Yeah, the West is going to be wide open. So, all right, we're actually not going to pull up the details because I do want to get to the gaming news, guys. Haven't decided what we're going to play yet. If the Fallout 76 Battle Royale stuff's still going, we'll probably spend the rest of the evening doing that. Oh, here's the deets. And then Ali Mata traded to the Blackhawks? I have no idea what any of that means. Don't know what any of that means. So yeah, we've got, okay, the Pelicans will receive Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the 4th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft. So yeah, definitely a win-now kind of deal. It'll be interesting to see who they go out and sign. And then I think AD also said he's going to be signing a long-term deal. Oh, it's not going anymore? Oh, The free period is over, but the BR isn't going anywhere. Okay, well, I purchased the game when it first came out, so I've still got it. Okay, nice. We'll do. Is that lacrosse? Oh man, yeah. So that's cool that they're just keeping it around. But yeah, I bought it at launch, so I've got that game. All right, guys. Let's not talk about gaming. I mean the NBA anymore. Let's talk. Let's talk gaming news, and let me make sure I got all my buttons right. I'm still figuring out all my settings over here on my Stream Deck with the new overlay. So this is the one we're gonna need throughout the night. So cool. Well, yeah, for those of you who it's your first time, this is the PvA Nightly Rundown. Each and every weeknight at 9 p.m. I run you guys through the gaming news that you may have missed throughout the day so that you don't look like an idiot at the water cooler tomorrow. A little bit of housekeeping at the top. We do have a 24-hour live stream that is planned for next week. Yeah, holy cow, it is next week. Oh, man. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream for Able Gamers. We're going to be doing some giveaways. We'll have some special guests. We're going to be doing some special podcasts. And our goal is to raise $5,000. So you guys that have watched PvA Radio, you're used to seeing me, Larry, and Cody all on like different screens through Discord. This stream we're going to be doing, they're coming down to my house. We're going to pack it into this little room here with some comfy chairs, and we got a lot of shenanigans planned. Lot of shenanigans. Pro Electioneer's in the chat. He says we got some great stuff lined up. He is not kidding. We have had 2 meetings. We have a document full of ideas. We have several special contributors to our giveaway, so you are not going to want to miss it. And the way that it's going to work is we're going to be giving away something at every $250 increment that we raise. And you may think $5,000, Luke, that's really ambitious for a stream you guys' size. But I'm here to tell you right now, we got some hot inroads, and I think that this next Friday is going to be hopping, so you do not want to miss it. So we're starting at noon on the 28th, noon Eastern time. We'll run through noon Eastern time the following Saturday. We're going to do an episode of PvA Radio. We're going to play some games. Both you're going to learn how to cook a steak, all kinds of awesome stuff. So yeah, you do not want to miss that. Make sure that you're here for it. I am very excited. I'm very excited because people are going to come to my house and spend time with me. And at this point, my wife's been gone for 3 days, and I feel like no one's ever going to visit me ever again. My wife's coming back next week. And then I think she's going out of town, so she doesn't have to be here for the craziness that is going to be that 24-hour live stream, which is safe to say very, very intelligent of her. So, all right, guys, let's jump into it with the very first thing. Board games. We do have board games planned, and Ryan, I totally forgot that we had promised that you'd be able to come back in, because I don't know exactly when we have them planned for now. I think they're in the morning the next day. So yeah, we're going to do some Jackbox Party Pack as well, so the chat will be able to get involved in playing some games with us too. So a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff coming. All right, guys, let's jump into it with the games that are releasing today. E3 is behind us. That means news is going to slowly start to trickle out again. We're still kind of in that like post E3 hangover, right? It always takes about a week to get going again. So not a ton of news to go over today, which is why I'm extra chatty here at the top. But releasing today, all of this comes from the Kotaku, and I'm actually going to bring it up because we use this all the time. I want to give them credit. Kotaku every single Monday puts out an article called This Week in Games, where they talk about all of the games that are going to be coming out for that week, and it's probably the single best list of upcoming game releases available on the internet. So if you're ever wondering what's coming out, you definitely want to check this out over here. Also, is the overlay looking good? Is everything clear? I'm on my like sideways 720p monitor, so that everything is low res, looking real terrible. So I want to make sure that it looks good for everybody. from the view that I've got over here, I think it's looking pretty solid. But let me know if anything needs changed. Releasing today, though, we've got Toei. I will not do that, but thanks for asking. Fighter's Legacy coming out on PC. Then we have Speaker Man coming out on PC. Urban Tale on PC and Mac. Car Trader Simulator on PC. Golden Treasure, The Great Green on PC and Mac. I'm sorry, Toei. I haven't seen you in here in a while. I know that you'd asked that before, jokingly. I'm a little on edge, so I'll tell this story at the top right after I do this. Chuk and Sosig walk the plank on PC and Mac, and then Seeking coming out on the Switch. All right, so all right, we're good. We're Gucci. So I'm going to tell this story. I'm a little on edge about people just coming in and just acting like they own the joint, right? So I'm streaming some League yesterday, some League of Legends, and I don't mind like backseat gaming, especially a game like that. Like I'm learning League. Actually interested in what you had to say. All right, so yeah, you guys may have seen my tweet today. If you follow me over on Twitter, if you don't, you can follow me right here, Hoagie at Hoagie_OW. So I'm streaming some League yesterday, right? And I put learning League of Legends. And I know what kind of audience that's going to attract, right? It's going to attract people who want to give me some advice on how to play the game. And I don't mind that at all. Like, I don't mind some backseat gaming every now and again. Now, like trying to tell me what to do in real time, that sort of stuff doesn't work, right? Because I'm on stream. You guys are watching on somewhat of a delay. So yeah, like, but I don't mind tips and tricks here and there. And this guy came in and he was being super helpful and really nice right at the top, and was giving me a lot of helpful advice. And I mean, he was being chatty, and I don't mind being chatty. I like chatty. That's why we do this show, so we can all chat about gaming news together. But then I'm in the champion, like I'm just scrolling through my champions, trying to like read up on abilities, figure out who I want to try next. And all of a sudden I hear in my earphones, like, "Hey man, can you hear me?" And I look, and it's a dude it's the dude that's been in the chat who just invited himself into my party, which, look, lesson learned on my end, right? To always set my party to private, make sure that people can't just randomly jump in. But there's like boundaries, right? Yeah, Notorious Narwhal, don't open party. Yeah, I learned my lesson and I closed it immediately after this. And that's on me, right? My lesson is learned. But my lesson to other people is this: like, act like you have some sense and don't make me look like a jerk on my own stream when I have to kick you out of a party that you weren't invited to. Right? Like, I don't mind if somebody comes in and is like, "Hey, you want to play?" and is like legit open to whatever I answer, right? Like if you come in and you say, "Hey, can I join?" and I say, "No, I'm just looking to play by myself," and you say, "Oh, well, that's cool. I'll still stick around." Totally fine by me. Like, and there's been times where I've been playing something and somebody's like, "Hey, can I play?" and I'm like, "Sure," but don't just like invite yourself in. Have a little bit of common sense. Anyway, that's I'm off my soapbox. That's what the tweet was about. So I'm a little on edge. So Toei, I really apologize, because I know this is a running joke that you've come in a couple times and made. So and you're down to party. I'm down to party too. I've got this nice can of bubbly because it's a weeknight. We ain't breaking into the beer. Got this nice can of bubbly, and I am totally down to party. So let's party with some gaming news. Brian, bro, with the $5. Thank you so much. And I need to pull up my Streamlabs alert. You should try out doing an NBA talk show podcast type live stream and see how it does. Also, I really like your live streams. Don't stop. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ryan, bro. I actually used to do an NBA talk show back in the day with my brother. And that was a lot of fun. Me and my brother, we'll spend, like, if my wife's still in the chat, she can attest to this. Like, he'll call me like every day during the NBA season, we just talk basketball. So it was like a natural thing. I'd love to make some NBA content. I don't feel like I know as much like now as I did maybe a couple of years ago, just because I got irons in so many fires. But yeah, that good idea. And thank you for the $5 and all the support, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right, guys, let's jump into the gaming news. Let's start with this interview with Tim Sweeney. This is from WCCF Tech. Alicio Palumbo. I think there's a lot of really cool things of note in this interview that I want to draw out. So he hits on a couple things, and this is where was this interview from? He was talking to the Wall Street Journal. And I'm just going to read this directly. It says, speaking to the Wall Street Journal in an article that's behind the online magazine subscription paywall, Epic Games founder Tim Sweeney called this success one of the best moments in Epic's whole history. Quote, it was an effort, and the moment they're talking about is when they finally broke down the barrier of crossplay between the Xbox One and the PS4. It says, quote, it was an effort in international diplomacy. Given the long-term rivalries, it was a series of contentious discussions. It was one of the greatest moments in Epic's history. I was pleased and tired. I don't know. Epic and Fortnite get a lot of shit, right? And I think a lot of it is deservedly so. And not necessarily in like the, oh, it's a kid game, why don't you go play a real game kind of deal. More so in the, like, oh, you have a predatory monetization model and it takes advantage of kids getting addicted to your game and needing to purchase things. Like, I think that that's the crap that the game deserves. I don't think that it deserves crap in a lot of other areas it gets. Epic deserves crap in the, oh, you work your employees tirelessly in order to push update after update. And so there's like legitimate things and then there's illegitimate things. And I think that the conversation around Epic like kind of gets lost in the weeds, right? Like the legitimate things get lost in the illegitimate things that we gripe about. But I also think that there's some things about Fortnite to really be praised. And I think the very first thing is the crossplay conversation. And I think it is a monumental thing that Epic Games should take a lot of pride in, that they were able to create a game that had so much pull, so much gravity behind it, that it was able to break down a barrier that's existed for the better part of 2 decades at this point. Like, that is something awesome. And now we're entering into an era of games. Like, look, I think this was even back when we started PvA radio, that I was like, do I think that crossplay is going to be like the future? Absolutely. Do I think that we're anywhere near those days? Absolutely not. That was like my whole line of thinking. And I think the two co-hosts of PvA radio, which we do every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern over here on the channel, like, I think that that was my line of thinking. Like, crossplay is not going to happen anytime soon. It may be like a PS5 next Xbox kind of deal, but as for now, I think we're waiting. And then Epic Games comes in. They announce the game for the Switch. It's going to have crossplay, and the conversation started with cross progression, right? During last year's E3 of like, oh man, Sony's not even allowing cross progression on these accounts. So you've got to buy everything twice if you play on multiple consoles. And Sony really doubled down, and that was right when we started PvA radio, right? And we were like, hey, Sony's doubled down on this. The conversation's gotten away. It's never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, Sony's like, we're launching beta access for crossplay. And yes, you're exactly right, Mad Brock. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That was Tim Sweeney, man. And so I think that that is something that deserves a lot of credit. I've been talking a lot about Stadia, right? And how I think that I want Google to succeed in the gaming space, because I think that their service is so predicated on healthy internet connections, and they're the only company with the kind of like weight to throw around where they can make real change with like internet speeds and ISPs. And so I want Stadia to succeed, because they need good internet and less data caps in order for people to take advantage of the full breadth of their services. And Google's a big enough company that they can go and say, hey, you need to you need to fix the data caps and everything. So, and I think Epic's the same way. Like, they created something that was big enough to make a difference. Ryan Bro says, do you think Epic Store will overtake Steam's monopoly in online game selling, especially with Epic giving the devs a larger percent of each game sold? Yeah, definitely. I think so. And that whole narrative to me has been wild, right? Like, watching how all that's panned out since the Epic Store launched, like, with the better percentage of revenue share between the platform and developers and publishers, them throwing their weight around with money, getting exclusive after exclusive, them purchasing Psionic Studios, like them taking Nate Nanzer away from the Overwatch League to bring him in for esports. Like, I just think all around Epic is making these moves to be players in all these different spaces, from game distribution to esports to game development, and then obviously with the Unreal Engine, they own a large portion of the gaming economy, right? And I think that Epic's going to have some things to figure out, but I think what they're really interested in doing is, yes, they want to make money, but I think they also want to change the way that platform holders look at revenue sharing between publishers and developers and the platform holder themselves. The amount of money that Steam takes for every single sale is insane. Maybe if Steam made a game with the number 3 in it, they won't have to worry about Epic. I think the ship has sailed on a lot of like Valve development kind of things. I think Steam is such a moneymaker for them, and making a game is so high risk, right? So let's see. I think that might take a little while because Steam is just huge. I think so too, but I also thought crossplay would take a while, right? Maybe a lot of young players who don't know those games. We actually talked about that a few weeks ago too, on not to keep referencing the PvA radio, but yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, about how, like, or maybe that was when I was on Popped Off. I think it was when I was on Popped Off on Project Esports guest hosting, that it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense for Valve to try to do like a Half-Life 3 or whatever, because there's so many people that game nowadays who have no idea what Half-Life is, and there's no way that they can make a game that would meet the unrealistic expectations that everybody has of what they want to see in a Half-Life 3. So I'm all about, like, Steam. Valve doesn't even need to try it, like, and they don't want to either. They make money hand over fist on Steam. Is Epic making a dent in that? Absolutely. Is the exclusivity narrative a bad narrative? Absolutely. But they're still making money hand over fist, right? So, all right. There were also a couple other quotes from this. It says, the interviewer also asked Tim Sweeney about the increasing demonization of Fortnite as something that's harmful to people and children specifically, as pointed out recently by Prince Harry of the House of Windsor, who made quotes about addiction and all that stuff. Half-Life movie? I'm not all about video game movie adaptations. But here's the quote. It says, quote, "It's unfortunate to characterize having a lot of fun as something more sinister. You could often say the same thing about playing soccer or watching football," end quote. I thought this was an interesting quote because I agree and I disagree, right? I disagree that in this dismissive idea that, like, oh man, games are just fun, there's nothing more sinister under the surface, when I think realistically Epic does try to prey on young kids who have access to their parents' credit cards, and they try to get them addicted and hooked. That's why you can play it on your Xbox and then pick up your cell phone and play it on there as well. But I also agree that, like, some people are overstating it. Make it all CG. Netflix shows just about anything. Oh, you're saying make a half? Are you saying you want to see a Half-Life Netflix series, or that Netflix should handle the movie? Because I'm of the mind that, like, I love Netflix series. there's not a lot of Netflix movies that I really like. Not a ton of Netflix movies I really like. What was the movie with the blindfolds that everybody loved? I was like, this movie's not that good. Fortnite has become a toxic word. People are so divisive about it. Either you play Fortnite or you hate Fortnite. Like, those are the two sides of the fences. But I think I can objectively step back and look at Fortnite and say, we are places in the gaming industry that we never would have been without Fortnite. And you can argue another game would have come along and change and turn the tide, but I can't remember another force like we have with Fortnite. You know, I get you can maybe say Minecraft, but I think even then, Minecraft, Fortnite left the sphere of video games and entered into pop culture territory. Series would be good. Bird Box, that's it. Bird Box, not a great movie. Did not enjoy it very much. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Lauren likes to watch like the Adam Sandler movies because she just likes the like stupid, silly comedy stuff. But yeah, there's not a ton of movies I like. Oh, I started watching Good Omens yesterday, the Amazon series with David Tennant, and I can't remember, but it's about Armageddon. The first episode of that show is awesome. It's awesome. I respect it. It's going to stick around for a long time. I think so too, Ryan, bro. I think like they've got an audience. That audience is huge. And I think we've had several opportunities for something to come out and unseat it. And nobody's been able to do it successfully because I don't think it's as much a formula as much as it is just like it's just entered into the zeitgeist, right? Like I've got a 9-year-old nephew who his life is Fortnite. Like that's all he thinks about. That's all he wants to talk about. He knows I like to play games. Every time I see him, he's asking about Fortnite, you know? You watch Murder Mystery? I've been seeing the ads for that every time I turn on Netflix. I'm never going to sit. I rarely, if ever, sit down and intentionally decide to watch a movie on my own. And so it has to be like Lauren wants to watch something in order for me to watch it. Even then, I like kicking and screaming. But it's funny. She can be like, hey, do you want to watch this hour-and-a-half long movie? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest an hour and a half of my time into something. And then she's like, do you want to watch 7 episodes of The Office? And I'm like, all right. All right, you got me. I don't have any plans tonight. There was a lot of nights where I was rolling into the PvA Nightly Rundown, like with dust flying up behind me because I was stopping so fast because I was just trying to squeeze in another minute of The Office. Let's see. Has there ever been a good adaptation of a video game movie? I really want to know if there was. I thought Detective Pikachu was pretty good. But outside of the last 10 minutes of the movie, I thought it was fun. Trying to think of any others. The old school Mortal Kombat movies were awesome. There's an organic. Here's pro-electioneer coming in. There's an organic alchemy to success, difficult to manufacture. See, we have. Here's the reality of the dynamic of PvA radio, right? So pro-electioneer is Cody, co-host of PvA Radio. Cody balances out the idiocy of Larry and I. Larry and I know nothing. And then Cody comes in with the hot knowledge. The hot knowledge. The Castlevania, I've heard a lot of good things about Castlevania. I have not watched it yet. Organic alchemy. Come on. Love you, Cody. Yeah. You're killing it, dude. You're killing it. That needs to be a segment during the 24-hour live stream, or Organic Alchemy. It's just Cody teaching you how to make the potion to make a successful video game movie. Out here matching you fools. But I feel like since people have cracked the code of the superhero movie, But it's only a matter of time before somebody cracks the code of the video game movie. But the inherent challenge of a video game movie, right, is it removes the agency from you, which is what makes video games so cool. The agency of it, right? I don't know what it is. This is from Ryan, bro. I don't know what it is. I feel different about movies. I could straight watch movies all day, like the originals, like Indiana Jones and the old Star Wars movies. I'm just not like, and I'm terrible, not terrible about, but like, I don't have it within me to want to rewatch things. Ever. And I don't replay video games. I rarely rewatch movies. I'll rewatch like series I love, like The Office or It's Always Sunny, things like that. But like for the most part, if I've seen it once, I'm just ready to move on, right? Like I don't need to experience it again, especially with video games. A lot of times it's like, number one, there's so much stuff to play anymore that it's like, who has the time to go back and replay something unless it's Overwatch, right? Or it's like that's my playthrough of the game. I don't want to play it and get a different ending or have my characters do something different. Like I love Firewatch. Firewatch has multiple like paths that you can take. I've played the game once and I was like, that's my story. That was my playthrough. All right, let's move on. Mortal Kombat 11 competitive details have been revealed. This is from Mike Fahey over at Kotaku. It says, Combat League is an all-new seasonal ranked mode in which players compete over the course of 4 weeks to earn exclusive in-game items. Teased in Mortal Kombat 11's multiplayer menu since the game launched in late April, the first Combat League starts tomorrow. I love Kotaku's style of writing. I think it's so cool. Like, it's conversational, just kind of like interjections in the tones, like in their news write-ups, because news write-ups in video games are hard. So for those of you that are new, I've spent a good little stint of my life at Twinfinite writing for them, and part of writing for them is writing news, right? Writing news is a drag, man. Everybody's like, man, I want to work in video games. I'd love to work in video games, and I would love to work in video games too. But if it's as a news writer, I do not want to do it because most of the time you're just regurgitating press releases. So I always appreciate when a company is like, hey, we don't want this news story to read like everybody else's news story. Add a little bit of flavor to it. Because you go read like GameSpot or IGN, those kinds of places. I don't think they have nearly the personality that you see in a lot of the Kotaku news story write-ups. And it's also because Kotaku doesn't cover every single news story either. It's really only the ones they feel like they have something to add to. But anyway, back to the story at hand. Little aside there. Yeah, Combat League is coming, the competitive mode. I'm not a big fighting game guy. Maybe there's some fighting game fans in the chat who can color this a little bit for me, but I know that like there's like Street Fighter has a ladder, right? But that ladder exists in perpetuity, right? Or do they have seasons? I didn't write for Kotaku. I wrote for Twinfinite for a long time. Ended up moving into feature writing and opinion article writing, but everybody who starts there has to start in news. And then you get like, you get a little bit of a leash to move into opinion writing and stuff. But yeah, I'm really proud of the work that I did when I was at Twinfinite. I've also done some freelance writing. I used to run a site called Two Left Sticks, which is now defunct, which is how I met Cody. And then, and now I have playerversusall.com, which we don't do enough writing. We don't really do any writing over there. It's really just a hub for the podcast for now, but I'd love to get back into writing, but I can't have one more thing, guys. I got too many things, too many irons in the fire. Cause I already work like 45 hours a week at my real job. So, yeah, this is coming out tomorrow. I think this is cool. Anything to keep players engaged. I like kind of these finite seasons. I like that about Overwatch, that every few weeks you get a chance to kind of reset, start over, even though you're tied to your past rankings and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're a fighting game fan, look for that tomorrow. Next item on the list. These damn bags, guys. Fallout 76 players have finally gotten their canvas bags from Bethesda. This is a tweet from J Hart at Mooncrests on Twitter. It says, after months of silence, my Fallout 76 canvas bag version 2.0 arrived. The quality is much better overall, comparison below with the original bag at the top, and yes, the helmet does fit inside the new one. So let's open up this tweet. Focus Danielson. I don't know if I get that reference. So here's the two bags. Here's the first nylon bag, and then the canvas bag. Guys, this, we don't need to spend too much time here because we spent literally like 3 weeks in a row talking about just this shit show that was Fallout. This was the most egregious thing in the universe to me, right? People paid $200 on an advertisement that said it was going to be a canvas bag. They get their $200 collector's edition item, and it's a nylon bag, way cheaper quality. And when they're called out on it, they were like, yeah, we realized the canvas was going to be pretty expensive, so we just decided to go with the nylon. Sorry we didn't give you a heads up. And there's nothing that gets under my skin, nothing that gets under my skin faster than a company disregarding the people that make their game successful. Nothing. Not a thing in the world. You want to lose my support on something, do that. Now, I think that they've tried their hardest to make amends. I think 7 months is a little egregious to get something like this turned around. But regardless, it's taken care of. Water under the bridge. They were really humble during E3. I like that tone from them. It's not a tone we often see from Bethesda. So to me, it's all right. Ryan Bros says 76 is a decent game now, in my opinion. And I haven't played any of the PvE stuff since launch. Larry, co-host of PvA Radio, loves Fallout. He loves it for the exploration and just for the quirky things that people do. We have two Discords, right? If you're on Discord, be sure to join our server, !Discord. We chat a lot about gaming news over there as well, but we have a host Discord as well. And about once a week, Larry always puts like 1 or 2 stories about something crazy going on in the Fallout world. Like, this cult of cannibals is luring people into their homemade maze and eating them at the end when they think they're going to win a prize. And Larry is like all about that kind of stuff. And I think that's what makes these kind of games cool. What people can make of the games after they're released. And I thought it was cool that they highlighted that during E3, that it's like, hey, our community is doing cool things over there. They could have done it a little better, but regardless, I think it was cool that they highlighted them and said, hey, we didn't make a great game, but the people that are playing it are making it great. All right. Next, has anybody ever bought a $200 collector's edition of anything? I mean, I know people have. I'm asking if anybody here has. I bought the collector's edition of The Witcher. I bought the collector's edition Witcher strategy guide just because I thought the artwork was cool. And I worked at GameStop, so I got it at a discount. But I don't know. There's nothing I love enough to spend $200 on. Hell no. Heard that, Ryan, bro. Also, is the stream quality for you guys okay? Let me know if it's hiccuping at all, or, you know, because I just want to make sure this new setup's Gucci. And my computer that I monitor everything on is acting a little weird. So. All right, next item on the list. Possibly. Here we go. Good for you? All right, good deal. Good deal. This is from Jasmine Henry over at Gameran. It says, Xbox boss doesn't know Project Scarlet's real name. It says, Xbox boss Phil Spencer reveals that he doesn't know the real name of the Xbox Project Scarlet console. Microsoft has used the Project Scarlet code name when officially talking about the console, with an E3 2019 announcement trailer for the next-gen Xbox also using the code name. Speaking to Giant Bomb at E3 2019, Spencer confirmed that Microsoft hasn't made a decision about Scarlet's name yet. The Xbox boss said that, quote, I honestly don't know what the name is. We don't even have a list of names, end quote, as that's not where the team is yet. This isn't much of a surprise, and it's a slow news week. Any other day where we have like real news to talk about, we wouldn't talk about this story. But because this is expected, right? They're a year and a half out from the launch. So Ryan Bro asks the staple question for today's podcast, and the question I want chat's input on too. And if you're watching this over on youtube.com/PvA radio, leave your thoughts in the comments below about what it could be called. Now, I wrote an article for Player vs. All back when the Scarlet stuff leaked and came up with some names that I thought might fit. Let me see if I can find this article real quick. Oh, hello. Mute. Let's see. Did I write it in the slant or in offbeat? I need better organization here. All right. So what is the next Xbox going to be called? This was the article I wrote over on Player vs. All. So my first option that I think they could go with is Hold on, guys. I'm hearing like crazy noises. I'm home alone. I'm psyching myself out. I think it's just my cat running around. Yeah, it was definitely just my cat. I'm gonna leave these off for a second though. My first thought is that they just go back to the Xbox moniker. I can't remember what I was reading or what I was listening to about the name Xbox 360, but Xbox 360 really kind of completely decimated all of the naming conventions that that they could have entered. And a lot of people joke Xbox for the Xbox 360 language, but again, I wish I knew who to credit this to because I don't remember where exactly I heard it from. But oh my gosh, my cat is going insane outside of the room. But the argument for it was the PlayStation 3 was launching at the same time, right? And the Xbox had just released their first iteration of Xbox. So the next logical step would be, oh, it's the Xbox 2. Well, Xbox didn't want to appear like they were automatically obsolete from the PlayStation 3 because they were a number behind, right? And so they didn't want to call it the Xbox 2 because from a marketing standpoint, it would be like, well, and with like parents who don't know any better standing in a game store and trying to decide what they were going to buy little Johnny for Christmas, right? They would say, oh, well, it's the PS3 or the Xbox 2. Well, it's the PS3. That's got to be better, and so we'll buy that. So they kind of ditched that naming convention and went with the 360, and I thought that was like really interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. I still don't know if 360 was the right name, but ultimately I think that the Scarlet can be named whatever, right? So this was coming from the perspective that they were going to release two versions of the console, like a really robust, meaty console and then a cloud-based version. So I think that they could just go simply like Xbox and Xbox Cloud. That would be Xbox is kind of becoming like it's like Velcro or Frisbee, right? It's like one of those names that has just kind of become synonymous with the activity that it's associated with, a brand name. Same thing with PlayStation, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It's like Nintendo was back in the day when it didn't matter if you had a Nintendo or a Sega or whatever, or, you know, a GameCube or whatever. Your parents would be like, just turn off the Nintendo and come to dinner. Xbox has kind of become a similar thing. So just going back into that and calling it the Xbox again, I think would be a really cool move. Like, they've kind of leaned back into the nostalgia factor back when they announced the Scorpio edition that was modeled really similarly color palette wise to the original Xbox. They re-released the Duke controller for the Xbox One at one point. So there's a history there that Xbox is constantly willing to go back to the well to kind of play with. And so I think just going back to Xbox would be a cool idea. Let's see. Madbrock says could be Thunder. Xbox Thunder. That name has power to it. I see them maybe just calling it Xbox with no real name. Kind of like what most companies are naming products. Simple. Yeah. Yeah, just going back to something simple and being like, we're looking for this Xbox again. This is, and I think they're still planning on doing like a beefy console and then one that's powered by the cloud. But Okay, I didn't know what sped simple meant. Oh, I thought you were saying it could be called the Xbox Thunder. It could be Thunder that I'm hearing. Yeah, it is also my cat. My cat's going freaking crazy out there. So, oh, and it is Thunder. There it is. I hear it. So if I lose power, I live in the equivalent of a third world country in the little section of town that I live in. We lose power like every other storm. So we're bound to lose it today. So if I suddenly disappear, that is what happened. And if it comes back on at any reasonable time, we'll be back on. I could also see them going for Xbox Home. And then Xbox Azure or Xbox Cloud, something that like plays off of that. You know, reiterating the fact that like, hey, this is something that it's fully contained within your house. You don't need to connect to the internet in order to play on an Xbox Home. Wow, I've been to a real third world country and I'm offended. Hey man, I've been to third world countries as well. And they would not be offended by that. I don't think. Maybe they would. Ballad of the Salad comes in here getting offended all the time, mostly about the console wars and how I equate it to a real life war where I get to come home and see my family, kiss my wife, settle down, start a family, you know? Then the other name that I had here was Xbox Elite. Elite is a name that they've played on in both the 360 and the Xbox One generation, and I think that it may be a little pompous to call yourself that, a little arrogant to call your console the Elite. I'm offended that you said that. Is Roy Speedrun here? Man in this chat? Banning people left and right? Probably not. Get him to swing the ban hammer in here. Anyway, what do you guys think? The controller is the Elite, so I don't think so. Well, yeah, they've got the Elite controller, but I think like they had an Xbox One Elite bundle, which was like their premium console, and this was ages ago. Wait, what? I just got back. I bought Fallout 76. I was just seeing if you could ban Ballad of the Salad from the chat real quick, but the opportunity is gone. I will be probably playing some Battle Royale on Fallout 76 tonight. Yes, that is the plan on the Xbox One console. Yo, Beal for real. What up? Welcome to the chat. We're just wildly speculating about what the name of the next Xbox console could be. This is an old article that I wrote back a few months ago. Look at me, scuffed. I don't even have the dates. I don't even have the dates on here. The Xbox. See, Beal for real's with me. I think that's what it's going to be. I think they're just going to call it Xbox or the Xbox. The only thing that gives me pause with that is that Phil Spencer has come out and said we aren't seeing this as our last console. If this was like a terminating point for their consoles and everything was just going to be supplemented by cloud power following it, I could really see them going with Xbox. That would be my like 95% yes. I'm only at about a 60% that that's what they're going to do it now because they don't want to back themselves into that same corner, right? Because you don't want to go Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox 2. Right? What are your next naming conventions? I'm modding like 12 channels. All I do is Twitch. Dude, Dauntless. I haven't played Dauntless in a while. I downloaded Dauntless on my... And let me fix this chat box. It's driving me nuts. Pull that over here. I don't mind if it bleeds out the other way. I want all you guys' icons to be there. Roy Speedrun, how do you come to mod 12 channels? That's what I want to know. How does an individual come to mod 12 channels? Are you paying for mods? Still don't know. Xbox Infinity. That's a good guess, Mad Brock. Xbox Infinity? or Xbox Infinite, something like that, because of the cloud base, and they're already leaning into the Infinite language with Halo. Hey, the Xbox Infinite comes with Halo Infinite. I could see that. I could see that. I hate that they come out with these awesome code names and then don't really do much with them. Xbox has done more with it than other consoles have, right? So like they did the Xbox One X Scorpio edition, but they haven't done much more than that with their code names. But like Scarlet is a cool name. It doesn't make a great brand, but it makes a cool name. So, all right, guys, what time is it? Oh, it's only 9:50. Thought we were falling behind here. Let's see. Let me catch up. The Xbox. Ballad of the Salad agrees with the Xbox. I've had my Xbox One for ages. Crazy to think they're around coming out with another. Doesn't feel that long ago when the one came out. I know, it's wild, man. Like, so the PS4 came out in 2013, right? The Xbox One and PS4. I had pre-ordered the PS4. I did not pre-order the Xbox One. And so my wife and I started dating like 2 months prior to the PS4 coming out. And the night we started dating, like officially started dating, I said, look, we can date and all. That's cool. But you have to realize that for 3 days in November that I've already taken off of work, you do not have a boyfriend. I was like, me and a couple other friends have pre-ordered the next PlayStation. We've taken days off of work. We're all coming to my house and hanging out, and we're just going to play video games for like 3 days straight. So you will not have a boyfriend for those days. And the moment I knew I was going to marry my wife was when she was like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. My wife's awesome. She supports so much of the shit that I do, like all the crazy ideas. Within our first, so we got married mad quick upon dating. And within my first 6 months, I was like, can I get an Xbox One? She's like, let's hold off. And finally she caved, let me buy one. She's let me buy my gaming PC. She lets me do the stream. And I say let's, like I have to ask her permission to do shit. I don't, but she's gracious enough to not get upset that I spend a lot of my time doing this kind of stuff. So she's awesome. But yeah, to your point, Ryan, bro, it's wild to think, man, like we're about to enter into another console generation. It does feel like it's a lot shorter, but I think by the time it ends, it's going to be longer than the PS3, Xbox 360. You'd be fine with Project Scarlet. I felt the same way about Project Scorpio. I realized after thinking that it didn't make any sense for them to call it Scorpio if it was going to be like an iterative console. But I loved the name Scorpio. My girl is a straight Latina. I get smacked around if I ask anything like that. Oh my gosh. Killing me, Ryan. I was thinking they'd rename the console and rebrand Xbox as a service. That's an interesting thought, Roy Speedrun. I don't particularly agree with you. But no, it's an interesting thought, and I think that if there's any company that would do that, it would be Xbox. I just think there's too much brand equity behind the name Xbox for them to do anything that doesn't have that name in it. Way too big a pivot, as Ballad says. Way too big a pivot. That would be insane for them to just throw away 15 years of brand equity. But we are going to continue to see them attaching the name Xbox to these services that are going to show up on other consoles. So, also, if you guys want to keep up with the show notes or give clicks to all of the articles that we use here, you can type !show notes in the chat, and that'll bring that up for you so that you can click in. It's a read-only version of the running show notes that I'm working off of. And I read a lot of the stories directly, but I know from somebody who's worked in this industry before that, you know, we always appreciate clicks. So if you want to read stories, because I don't read them in their entirety, or just have an idea of where we're going with the stream, you can follow along. So Xbox is much more recognizable than Stadia. If the future of gaming is streaming, it's not throwing anything away. But I think it was like I was saying earlier, right? Like, people say, get off that Xbox, or I'm going to take your Xbox away, regardless of if you own a PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch, or whatever. Like, Xbox for so many people is synonymous with gaming. And it's not just console gaming, it's just gaming in general. Yeah, Xbox Live would make sounds more stream friendly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Dude, the ship has sailed, Ryan, bro, on Xbox VR. The ship has sailed. They put out some quotes, and I don't remember specifically what they've said, but it was just essentially like, look, the time and money it would take for us to R&D a VR headset, given the success we've seen our competitors find with it, would not be worth it. I think they're doubling down in the AR space, and not in the gaming side of it, but in the non-gaming side. Microsoft is a company, and that's where we're going to see headset innovation from Microsoft coming. I don't think we're going to see them in anytime soon. Until the technology becomes really cheap to replicate, I don't see them doing VR anytime soon. Yeah, it is kind of a fad. It's like, which is what Ballad of the Salad said, that VR is kind of a fad, but I think it's also just the way to get people excited about VR is to have Naughty Dog make a VR game, right? Or to have any of, like, you know, like if they made a Call of Duty VR version, like, it's got to be big name people, but in order to justify the time and money that you'd have to give those studios to make a game in VR, the install base would have to be gigantic. So it's really like a what comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of argument, right? Like, do you get the install base and then have the great games, or do we have the great games in order to get the install base for it? What do we do? And that's been, like, not just VR's struggle, that's console struggle altogether. It's just, can we justify the money we're about to spend here? Let's see. Mad Brock says catch 22. Bill for real says VR is still totally in the red blue 3D glasses stage. We need just a little more to go still. Yeah, I've played in VR. I've done PlayStation VR. I haven't done any of the other headsets. And I'm mad impressed at what is able to be accomplished in VR right now, but it's still light years behind graphic wise what we're able to play, like, on our televisions. And so take the uncanny valley stuff that we find when we're playing consoles and then magnify that through a screen door effect in your VR headset, and you'll see that, like, for me, it was just never going to be something I could see myself long-term gaming in. It was always something to hop in and try. Whereas The Last of Us 2? Last of Us 2 is probably coming out in February. We touched on that on Friday. See, Ryan, bro, you better be glad you found this channel last week, man, because now you're going to be caught up on all of the gaming news so that you'll know, where's The Last of Us 2? Well, Ashley Johnson almost let it slip that, wait, is it Ashley Johnson? I think it's Ashley Johnson. I went to a school called Johnson University whose founder is named Ashley Johnson. And I think hearing that out loud threw me off. But yeah, they're saying February. There's some reports, and then now I gotta look it up. Who voice acted Ellie? Who voiced Ellie in The Last of Us? Ashley Johnson. Okay, I'm right. It just sounded wrong. Yeah, she almost let it slip in an interview. She was like, oh yeah, The Last of Us is coming out in and then got cut off. So Ballad of the Salad technically did tell you first, Ryan, bro. So if you want to plug your MySpace, Ballad, I'll let you in the chat. Hopefully you've got some sweet top 8 list. It's just Roy speedrun 4 times across the top row. Dude, we tried bringing back. So every year, right? Me and my group of friends, we make it the year of something. One year, it was the year of getting Vine famous. The other year, it was the year of experience, where we just did, because we used to hang out every Monday at my house and we'd just go do random shit. And then one year, it was the year we bring back MySpace, and it didn't take off. Justin Timberlake owns MySpace now. And my old MySpace page where you can find all my music doesn't exist anymore. All right, we're going to skip some stories here. Next item on the list, Twitch has filed a lawsuit against the hackers that posted violent and pornographic streams. This is from Makina Kelly over at The Verge. It says the Amazon-owned gaming company, game streaming platform Twitch is suing anonymous trolls who posted a slew of harmful and illegal content, including the Christchurch shooting, on the platform late last month. If the company learns the identities of these individuals, they plan to request the court to prohibit them from using the platform and force them to pay damages, as first reported by Bloomberg. The videos were posted last month by an organized group of trolls in Twitch's artifact category, who are named in the lawsuit as John and Jane Doe's 1 to 100. Aside from the video filmed by the Christchurch shooter, trolls also streamed porn, copyrighted movies and television shows, and other illegal and harmful content. Quote, over the weekend of May 25th, we became aware of a number of accounts engaging in a coordinated attack targeting the Artifact game directory to share content that grossly violates our terms of service. We worked with urgency to remove the offending content and suspend all accounts engaged in this behavior, and are taking measures to prevent this from happening on our services in the future. And that was a quote from a Twitch spokesperson. It went on, quote, we take these violations extremely seriously. We are pursuing litigation to identify these bad actors, and will take all appropriate action to protect our community, end quote. So, again, Ryan, bro, be glad you found the stream, my dude. We've been talking about this as well. You're going to be so informed moving forward when you tune in and watch us every weeknight over here on twitch.tv/PvA radio at 9 p.m. Eastern time, except on Wednesdays, because that's when we do our gaming podcast at 9:30, but that's still over here. And we'll still talk news. You'll still be informed. This is an interesting move. Now, I'm just a small town pizza lawyer, right? I don't know anything about the law. So I don't know exactly what all of this means and what all of it implies. So I can't provide any in-depth legal analysis on what's going on here. But from what I've been reading since seeing this story is a couple things. First of all, this sort of litigation allows them to pursue some legal means of identifying the people who took advantage of their platform to do these sorts of things that may not have been available to them prior to this lawsuit being filed. The second thing that it does is acts as a deterrent for other people who are thinking about doing this, because they may in fact be identified and added into not this litigation, but similar litigation. That it shows that Twitch takes this stuff seriously. And if this is something that you're going to do, you better be willing to want to go to court over it and have to pay substantial damages. That they're showing that this is their precedent moving forward if something like this were to happen again. And where these people may have taken measures to cover up their identity, in the future there may not be, and those people will be easier to go after. And so we talked at length about what Twitch could do when I went over and was on the Project Esports podcast, and we also talked about it on PvA radio. And I think that this is even a step further than I thought they were going to take it. Twitch tends to be pretty lenient and pretty forgetful when it comes to these sorts of things, and for them to double down and say we're going after this in a hardcore way, good for them, man. There's no this is such a young platform, and streaming is an idea in its infancy, and we don't need shit like this. We don't need it. When you're trying to legitimize yourself as a platform, when you're trying to pull in, and it's not just gaming anymore. There's they stream soccer matches on Twitch now, and they're going after other live broadcasted things that would otherwise be swept away by cable television or whatever. When you're trying to chase after legitimate pursuits like that, you can't have shit like this happening. The artifact stuff. A lot of Twitch channels talked about that, changing the accountability of accounts. What I was arguing for when it happened was, in order to stream, you have to have two-factor authentication set up to a phone number, right? To verify that you're a human being. And then if you get banned, and you can use that number across multiple accounts, right? So I've got a couple streaming accounts. I only use the one now because I'm focused. I'm trying to focus in on this one. But I have a couple accounts, and, you know, as long as your number's in good standing, you can set up as many accounts as you want, right? But if your account gets banned off of that phone number, every phone number associated with that account gets banned as well. And I think that Twitch is such a face-forward platform, right? Like, even if you don't have a face cam on, your voice is going over the air. You know, my wife watches a guy who's been streaming Zelda. He doesn't use a face cam, but it's still very personable. People know him, interact with him, like, know things personally about this guy. Like, I don't think there's any space for anonymity in this side of streaming, right? I don't necessarily think that you need to go through all those steps in order to be able to chat in a channel, but I do think that in order to turn a camera on and be able to stream in real time, you should at least be able to verify that you're a real human being. And there should be some accountability behind that. But it's a fine line to walk, right? Because you also see stories on Twitch about, like, oh man, this happened to a pro Overwatch player, Sabiolby. He plays for the NYXL. He was streaming one day, and he kept getting he had his friend request notifications on, and he kept getting friend requests from people with all of these, like, disgustingly racist names that were just popping up on his channel. And he was, like, pulling his camera up, trying to hide them. And the example stops here, but I know there have been other instances where things like that have happened, and Twitch takes action against those accounts and says, like, we're banning you because you're in control of the content that you have. So it's a fine line. It's a balance that they have to find, right? Holding content creators accountable while also giving room for, like, common sense judgments. But the problem is that as the platform grows, there's going to be less and less opportunity for one-to-one human moderation on these sorts of things. Because from what I understand about the process right now is that something gets reported, and then Twitch has to actively review the content that was reported. And that is not a system that you can scale in any kind of reasonable way. And so, yeah, they're going to have to find the balance now and then work on the technological solutions in order to maintain that balance. But good for Twitch for going after this. And then also good for Twitch for our next story about Dr. Disrespect. I'm not going to read this story to you. This is from Nathan Grayson over on Kotaku. It's a good article. Talks about how, you know, Dr. Disrespect isn't really taking his Twitch ban all that seriously because he's been joking, not directly about it, but posting jokes and kind of avoiding the topic altogether. Outside of just a little short snippet, I did want to focus in on this last paragraph, though, because I thought that it was poignant and I thought that it's worth a conversation. YouTube algorithms coming? What do you mean, Mad Brock? Do you mean from a moderation standpoint? Because I do think there is some human moderation that goes on at YouTube. There was a big story that was posted a couple years ago about the PTSD that people suffer working in YouTube's moderation stuff. But I would love for YouTube algorithms to come, a YouTube style algorithm to come to Twitch for discoverability, like a front end algorithm, so that it's not just always organized by number of viewers. Like, yo, I spend a lot of time watching this dude talk about gaming news who has 7 to 10 people watching him at any given time. And so when you come on, you're showing similar channels to that. I'd be all about that. Here's the last paragraph from Nathan Grayson. It says, Dr. Disrespect has also used his mandatory time off to create new Twitch emotes for himself, peeking out from a bathroom stall. So if you guys don't know, let me just catch you up real quick. Dr. Disrespect was at E3, and he live streamed himself from a public restroom at E3, violating California law, possibly, where I believe it's illegal to film in a public restroom. And then also violating Twitch's terms of service. He was banned from Twitch, and his E3 credentials were removed, and he was kicked out. It says, Dr. Disrespect has also used his mandatory time off to create new Twitch emotes of himself peeking out from a bathroom stall. I'm sure they'll get plenty of use when he inevitably returns to Twitch in the coming days or weeks. After streamers reach a certain level of magnitude on Twitch, suspensions and bans only turn them into bigger stars, a phenomenon Doc himself is already very familiar with. I bring this up because I think this is one of the next big issues that one of the next big bridges that Twitch is going to have to cross. Of what do we do with people who have not only, it's the Logan Paul situation, right? That YouTube has faced. Like, here's a person who routinely takes advantage of our platform and misuses it, but yet we have to give them second chances because of the financial impact that they have. So for those of you who are unaware of how Twitch's monetization works, for affiliates, it is a 50-50 split of all money that's given. So when you sub to the channel for $5, the streamer gets $250, Twitch gets $250. As your channel grows, that split becomes better in your favor, right? But it's still, from what I understand, even for partners and large streamers, that Twitch takes a considerable cut of the money that's coming in. So for Dr. Disrespect, who's regularly pulling in, 5-figure viewers, for him to be off of your platform, not drawing in that money, you have to imagine that Twitch is feeling that in their pockets, right? But then here's a guy who has built his whole persona off of being a troll, off of being toxic, and he claims that's not who he is, but that's just who his character is. But yet he doesn't take any time to reflect. No time to reflect. Doesn't take a moment to talk about how irresponsible it was for him to walk into a men's restroom and film while other people thought that they had some privacy. I just think if you aren't who your character is, you need to do like he did when he got caught having his affair. You need to take off the costume and have a legitimate conversation with your fans and explain to them why this wasn't right. Not make emotes poking fun at it. Because I don't know, man, if I was in that bathroom, I'd feel violated. And I'm not uptight, but I don't know, I just think that Twitch should think long and hard about inviting someone who lacks any remorse for the reason they were kicked off back onto their platform. All right, let's see. Yes, you find out the morals of a company when you stand on integrity or money. And Twitch is at a crossroads with this, right? And I think it is true that they're inevitably going to reinstate Dr. Disrespect. But I would love to see it if they didn't. Not because I think a man's life should be ruined over a mistake that he made, but I do think that people should have to face their wrongdoing and own up to it before being redeemed and being brought back on. Ryan Bro says, what do you think of DLive? You think Twitch will ever die out and people start using other websites like DLive? I think there's two platforms that have gotten close to figuring to cracking the code somewhat. I think Twitch is always going to be around. I think they're a huge player. They're figuring the market out, but we're getting to that stage where the innovation is going to be born in smaller platforms. I've interacted with DLive a couple times, not a ton. But I think Mixer does discoverability really interestingly. I don't know if they necessarily do it well, but what they do is interesting. They have the radio scan feature. This was actually, I'm actually going to put this in the chat because if you haven't check this out yet. I learned this from PGL, which is my podcast where I interview small streamers. One of them was talking about how Mixer has this feature where it's basically like a scan, where you pick a category okay, Overwatch streamers. Boom, you get a streamer, you watch them for a couple minutes, and then without your input, it'll just move on to the next one until you find one that you like and you can say stay on this channel. And so the platform that figures out discoverability in a really solid way, I think is going to steal a lot of momentum away from Twitch. But in order for discoverability to matter, you have to have an audience of people that are watching, right? And so you've got to come up with something at the same time that's a really great platform for streamers to be found, but also a really great platform for people to watch. The problem with Mixer, from a viewer standpoint, is the UI is awful. It's awful. There's like keyboard issues that are just like little bugs that could be worked out, but update after update don't go through. Like double pressing the spacebar to get a period. Like that's a standard feature in mobile keyboards, right? Mixer doesn't support it. It doesn't support it. It's crazy. And then, as much as I hate to say this, guys, Facebook Gaming is doing some interesting things with shareability, discoverability, notifications. The fact that you can share streams over to your timeline is really interesting. And so, like, for me, I don't have a ton of friends that are like big into gaming. But if I did, and I found a streamer that I liked, I could share them on my timeline for my friends to find. Like, that's really interesting from a discoverability standpoint. From a viewership standpoint, it's not that great of an experience. I don't go to Facebook to watch games. The focus is way too split. The mobile experience isn't that fantastic. But from a discoverability standpoint, it's there. If somebody can mesh those two ideas, though, together, make it discoverable and fun to watch, I think Twitch will have a run for their money because discoverability is terrible on Twitch. Terrible. That's why you network with people. When you're a small streamer, like, you network with people. You raid, you hang out in other people's chats. Bow to the Salad is a streamer. Roy Speedrun is a streamer who's actually streaming right now. Bill For Real is a streamer. When Popped Off is in here, he is a streamer. Tons of streamers that hang out here. And you know why? Because I go hang out with them, they come hang out with me, and we found each other and we enjoy each other. That's the grind on Twitch, and it's just the fact of the matter. On my Xbox, Twitch doesn't even work for me, only Mixer, and it's terrible. Oh man. Well, Twitch's third-party support is terrible, which we have Fire Sticks. Amazon owns Twitch, and the Twitch app is terrible on the Fire Sticks. Ads break it. It signs you out randomly and doesn't let you sign back in for days at a time. Crazy. Holy cow, guys. It's 10:17. Let's see. Is there anything else I really want to hit on here? Not really. All right, we're going to wrap up the PvA Nightly Rundown and then switch over to a game. And so I'm going to wrap it up for our YouTube audience. So if you're watching over on YouTube, definitely appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video. If you want to join us live over here with all of us real gamers on Twitch, you can watch us over at twitch.tv/PvA radio. Join the chat, interact with us. That's what you see over here, I think. Maybe it's over here. Nope, it's over here. You can join the chat, interact with me, tell me your thoughts on stuff. And then until next week, we love you. Goodbye.